All right, I will now begin with reviewing the papers, and joining us to look at the papers this morning is Engineer Anthony Aniebue, a public affairs analyst. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right, we also begin with IBS website, and there we have the stories we have there. NUJ Anambra holds Congress today. Youth Forum ends in Oka with call on youths to embrace productive ventures. Police IG Adamu calls for tougher legislation against kidnapping banditry. Those are the three major stories we have on ABS website. For these and more, to get details to the stories, just go to our website. All right, let's look at the first story. One story that struck my attention. The Police IG Adamu calls for tougher legislation against kidnapping banditry. Most commentators will argue that legislation is not actually the problem with Nigeria, that is actually the implementation of those existing laws. Do you hold this view?
In fact, when I see that, when I saw that headline, it amused me because, unfortunately, the same police that should be indicted is calling for legislation. I don't know whether is it not the police that enforces the law? The laws that we have against kidnapping and banditry are enough to deal with the problem. What we have to tell the police IG is that they should buckle up, police should buckle up and get the kidnappers and these bandits. I don't know. Of course, in the issue of bandits, we have to include the army because of the range by which they are now operating. But in the civil society, in the civil law like what we are having, civil democracy, all issues are concerning security gets down to police. So, in fact, personally, I will call on police to do more work to deal with kidnapping and banditry.
So for you, the challenge is not with the laws that are prescribed.
You said it all, yes.
Okay.
Are you not saying that they're pushing their responsibility?
They are just passing the buck. They're just passing the buck. It's not the issue of law. The law is enough. The law already that's in place is enough. What we need is implementation of that law. And that boils down to police. Unfortunately, you see some of our politicians, some of them being given more than 5. Sometimes as many policemen as possible as to take them around. Why the work they should do is out there undone. So I don't know why police should be taking around our politicians, why the society is left unguided, unprotected.
Maybe they're overwhelmed. Like you rightly said, that the army is supposed to be included in the fight against terrorism, banditry.
Let me remind you that mobile police force was put in place to help the conventional police.
Are they still as effective?
And at a certain point, they came with what they call SARS. You get the point? All these institutions were put in place to deal with what I call high-profile security issues. Unfortunately, all of them were turned into something else. They started doing other things other than what they were put up to do. So if the entire police force, if they don't have much men, they should recruit and train them enough, give them enough equipment. Okay. You understand? Give the police enough equipment because most of the time you see that the police is not carrying enough sufficient weapon to deal with the issue of security. So when they are given enough training, given enough equipment, they will deal with this. Before you even call out the army, you must know the level of insecurity that the army will come in to deal with. But as of kidnapping and even this banditry, it's duty of police to do it. There is no way you can say they are overwhelmed. We know when the issue of overwhelming will come into it. It has not come to that, so to say.
It hasn't come to that. Right. Let's now move to the front page of the Daily Sun. On Daily Sun, we have a bold headline there. Ochomole Oyegu feud. Don't let APC die. Party chieftains beg Buhari to intervene. Senator Heath Sherman says party was off in 2019 polls. We have beside the nameplate there, kudos knocks as 8th National Assembly shuts down today. Senate leadership and Southeast, APC must play fair. That is the story also there. Let's begin with the controversies or the feud in the ruling party, the APC, party chieftains are begging President Buhari to intervene. Over time, we've noticed also that President Buhari normally plays, he doesn't like to come to the public when it comes to issues about party. He allows party to be supreme. Do you think it's time for him to take the bulls by the horn and intervene in the party crisis brewing in the APC?
I don't know when it is even the presidency that should deal with the problem in the party.
Okay.
The party has its crisis conflict resolution strategy or plan is being built. It has never been in the constitution of the party that the president should come in and settle problem that arises in the party hierarchy. The party hierarchy must have to put...
Not even as the leader of the party?
You only have a suggestion to make, a contribution to make. Because we are not running a military regime where you come and order people to do this or do that. The machinery of dealing with crisis in every body, every group of people is already in the constitution. And how it's done. If somebody is going against the constitution, the law or the constitution of the party must deal with the right person. But the writers, the headline said, don't let APC down. I think what I think the people they should be telling that are the two people that are really pulling the boat. The Oyegun and the Oshimole should understand that the party doesn't belong to them. I don't subscribe to the idea of the president coming out to go to the party and order the chairman to respect himself when the party law is there. If the chairman or any other person does what he's not supposed to do,
but if you are given the opportunity to compare these two regimes, the Oyegus and the Oshimole, which one will you say that has done very well for the party? Because it does appear that some of the party chieftains are against Oshimole.
Well, the points remain that if you can look at what we can now call the indices, this last election was very bad for APC. It lost some states, you understand? Unlike when they started, when I think Oyegun was the chairman, there are a lot of crises in APC today, which can be taken to the way and manner Oshimole has been handling certain things. In fact, I saw Oshimole as talking too much. As a party leader, you don't talk anyhow. You understand? So, but it's not. I'm not in APC, and I'm not going to deal with the case. Whatever it is has to be done or dealt with according to the party crisis control mechanism, which is inbuilt in the party.
Okay. The National Assembly will be shutting down today. The 8th National Assembly will be ending their proceedings today, the last day of the legislative year and legislative tenure. What will be your appraisal of the outgoing assembly?
I will have to, first of all, have to congratulate them for the job well done, and thank Nigerians for being patient with them. The National Assembly has been, in fact, it started with crisis of who is going to be the leader, external forces playing into the leadership, trying to decide who is going to be. Unfortunately, it has come to be in Nigeria that the executive must decide who should head the National Assembly, which is an absurd. It shouldn't be. The National Assembly must be allowed to decide who leads them. In fact, if they decide to elect a minority, a person from minority party to lead them, it's for them, because they have assessed the person's capacity.
Perhaps that's what has made this assembly very peculiar.
Yes, because they have minority as deputy, not even that they have the minority as the speaker, as the head, the leadership. And some people are even kicking against having a deputy from the minority, which is even not supposed to be. So the point I'm trying to say is that the crisis that started with National Assembly at the early time actually affected its performance. Because within the party, you now say that work are not actually being done smoothly the way it has to be done.
So what should be the relationship between the National Assembly and the presidency as the 9th Assembly starts?
My suggestion, my own feeling, and for the interest of democracy, is that it should just be cordial. The relationship it should just be
What if
cordial.
they decide to do like the 8th assembly that is just going out, that decided to pick their own...
That's what I'm trying to say.
their
They
own,
should, I'm advising
officers.
them to pick their own officers and not to listen to anybody.
Is insisting, or political parties are insisting that they determine who becomes the...
That is what I am saying. The party have no right to decide for the members of the National Assembly who are going to lead them.
But I really want to,
That
and
is
that's
what
the major reason for
Remember,
the
we are
conflict.
talking about
Yeah.
the 9th that will come. We are talking about, and that's the advice I'm giving to them.
They've
Give
already
and to
started the processes
Good.
to influence who becomes the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Reps. Don't you see that if they continue this way, by June 11th, we might be seeing a leadership that will still come out and be against the ESCO or the executive?
I am not, you see, when you talk about being against, you see, that's why I say the relationship should just be cordial.
Okay.
The issue of being against, in politics, I don't see what is being against and what is for.
Okay.
The important thing is that the National Assembly has to defend the interests of the masses and not the executive.
All right.
So if it means pitching a tent against the executive, that is what is good for democracy. Because if the executive is not doing what the masses that send the National Assembly to represent them, because remember that what the people at the National Assembly are Nigerian people. It's just because we are operating what we call representative democracy.
All right.
So if the people are not comfortable with what the executive is
The National
doing,
Assembly
the National
should
Assembly
reflect that.
must have to.
All right,
to do that.
let's move now to the Daily Times because of time. On the banner headline there, Operation Puff Ada, police nabbed 2,175 kidnap robbery suspects, recover 19,009 live ammunition, others. IGP seeks tougher law to deal with crimes. Beside the nameplate there, Rev Speaker raised stop campaign of calumny against Bajabiamila, Jibrin warns. Those are the stories. We also have PDP flays Buhari for tagging FCT residents necessary evil. There are still other stories there, but that's the much we could take for now on the Daily Times. Then from Punch newspaper, we have presidency meets power firms over electricity crisis, says German government to assist with distribution projects. Recapitalization insurance firms seek deadline extension. We also have there Oshomole Oyegun crisis. APC state chairman seek Buhari's intervention, may meet before Monday. Those are the major stories on the front pages of these two newspapers.
Yes. Operation Puffada. Police snap 175 kidnapped robbery suspects. Recover all these ammunitions. From where?
From Nigerians.
Puffada is here. Is he everywhere?
Well, but those people are Nigerians. You got the point. And if this quantity or this statistics is given, and you still know what you can regard as the state of security in this country, you now know that we are in a terrible mess. I want to congratulate them actually for the ones they've done, to have arrested the few and recovered the little amount, because I'm sure Nigeria has been militarized. The number of arms that are illegal arms that are in the society too much, especially in the up north.
Recently, we heard about a declaration from the presidency that of mopping of arms, and then another one came out to say that it is not true that they've not given.
When they talk about returning the license, and that is returning the licenses, have you?
Yes.
Yes, the gun licenses. The criminals don't register their arms. So the arms that are causing problem are not registered arms, because nobody will buy a gun, take a gun. It's just like you using your car to go and commit robbery, and some people will see you will see the car. Already the registered number is there. You will be traced. The people that commit crime don't go with their car. They rob somebody's car and use it to do crime. So the arms that are doing the problem, are causing the problem in this country, are not arms that have licenses. That's why most of us, people like me in the civil society, we kick against recovering of that license. Because we are now trying to arm the people that will actually defend themselves against illegal use of arms. So, but what we are saying that illegal use of arms, which is what the police have recovered, are the ones that are so much in this country. Boko Haram didn't register their arms. The Fulani herdsmen that are rampaging the place today did not register their arms. So, and that's the ones who are saying that are so much in proliferation in this country, so much.
You recover licenses from those that register their arms.
Yes.
So what will you do with these ones that
This is what we are.
have armed themselves illegally?
That is the issue there now. So let's encourage the police. That's why I say the police should be armed to the teeth. More equipment should be given to the police. More training should be given to the police. More personnel should be given to the police. They should employ more people. We have youths out there.
And as well as reorientation.
And then the most important, the reorientation. So that they would conduct themselves according to the rule and play according to the game. Yeah.
All right, that's how far we'll take on the newspaper review this morning. Guardian newspaper is also still available, although it's a rehash of most of the stories we have on the other papers. Thank you, Engineer Anthony Anambra, for joining us on the show this morning.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Anambra. Anambra, good morning. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah.